This fictional story begins by depicting the time when a technology called surrogates was starting to spread everywhere. With this technology, every person could create robotic characters that resembled themselves, allowing them to accomplish tasks from the comfort of their homes. Everyone had an advanced chair to control their surrogates, which was connected to their nervous systems. This meant that instead of humans, their surrogates would go out and perform all tasks, and whatever the robotic characters felt was also felt by their controlling owners. However, if a surrogate were to be destroyed, it would not affect their owner in any way. A large number of people were using this technology to build their lifestyles, and they could also design their character robots to appear much younger and more attractive. With the help of this new technology, the crime rate in the city had drastically decreased. However, there was still a group of people in the city who considered these surrogates to be against nature. This group protested vigorously against the technology, believing that humans should live their own lives. Therefore, they moved to another part of the city to reside. Their leader, Peter, wanted this surrogate technology to be completely eradicated, but it seemed that it was perhaps too late now. We are then shown a party house in the city where all the surrogates were dancing. Suddenly, a wealthy man arrives and jumps to dance with a lady. He quickly becomes very close to her. The rich man then takes the lady outside, but suddenly, a man on a bike comes and gives them an electric shock, causing both of their surrogates to be destroyed right there. The killer on the bike quickly tries to escape, but a car comes out of control and collides with him, causing an accident. However, no one knew who that unknown man was. After a while, two FBI agents, Lee and Stephanie, arrive to investigate the whole matter. When they examine the damaged bodies of the two robots, they realize that the rich man's surrogate was an unregistered robot. This means that they would not be able to find out who his owner was and who was controlling him. However, Leo and Stephanie did learn about the other lady. They extracted all the chipsets from the robots' bodies so they could conduct their investigation. Tracking down leads, Leo and Stephanie directly arrive at the lady's house, as it was the home of the robot. But the owner, who controls the robots while sitting in the modern chair, was found dead there. The two FBI agents were extremely shocked to see this scene. Leo immediately started checking the camera recordings, where he saw the lady talking to an unknown individual before controlling the robot. However, they had no idea who that person was. After finishing their day's work, Leo returned home. Here, we learn that Leo also used surrogates, or robotic bodies, to perform his tasks. Now, Leo deactivated his robotic body and stood up. In reality, Leo was a very old man. He then went to his children's room to look for them, after which he met his wife Maggie through her surrogate. Leo was trying to convince his wife's robot that they should go out somewhere. It had been a long time since they had physically met. In fact, Maggie and Leo's relationship was not going well, which is why Maggie always interacted with Leo through her robotic avatar. Leo felt that all of this was very wrong. He just wanted him and his wife to come out instead of using robots and enjoy their moments together. Next, we see two boys who, when they entered their dad's room, found him dead in his chair. They were extremely frightened, and then we discovered that this dead man was none other than the owner of the rich robot who had been killed the night before. This meant that after the destruction of both robots, their owners were also dead. The FBI learned all of this. Therefore, Leo's branch owner, named Andrew, would have to inform everyone and handle the situation. Leo, along with his teammates, was going through all the video footage from the party house from the night before. After much searching, Leo finds a man who had a gun in his hand. They had a hunch that this man must have killed the surrogates. The entire FBI department was engaged in solving this case. They discovered that the man who had just died was the son of a very prominent businessman named Lyle. Lyle owned a large robotic research company that was famous and profitable throughout the country. However, several years ago, Lyle was ousted from his own company by a partner. In this context, Leo and Stephanie decided to go to Lyle's house to speak with him. They met Lyle's surrogate, who was a young man. When Lyle learned about his son's death, he was deeply disheartened. Leo consoled Lyle, saying he understood the pain of losing a son, as his own child had been killed at a young age. However, Lyle had no idea who had killed his son, and he had no known enemies. Leo and Stephanie couldn't extract any useful information from Lyle that would help solve their case. Lyle, overcome with grief, stopped controlling his surrogate, who began to cry heavily upon hearing the news about his son. Meanwhile, Leo and Stephanie went to the company that manufactured surrogates, or robots, to investigate. They spoke with the company representatives about how the linked owners of surrogates were dying when the robots were destroyed, noting that such a concept had never been encountered before. The company representatives insisted that they had built their robots very well and had not included any properties that would allow the owners to die. They mentioned that even if the robots were completely destroyed, the owners would remain unharmed, suggesting that someone else might be involved. At this point, Leo and Stephanie had not yet gathered any useful information from the company. However, a scientist working in Leo's department provided him with some information. They had found a surrogate body that had been used in the military. Upon closer inspection of the body, the scientist informed Leo that the memory chip inside this robot had been removed. Additionally, there were other changes in this robot that had never been seen before. Therefore, Leo, along with Stephanie, goes directly to the military camp to gather some information. During a conversation with the colonel, he explains that all soldiers use surrogates. Even if a surrogate is killed, the related soldier remains unharmed and uses a new robot in the next fight. The colonel firmly refused to share details about the changes made to his robots. After conducting extensive research, Leo manages to see the face of the man who killed both robots that night. The killer's name is Miles, and surprisingly, he was present there in person rather than using a robot. Leo seeks help from a skilled technician named Bobby to find Miles as quickly as possible. Bobby has information on all the surrogates in the city because he also works for the large company that manufactures them. After conducting thorough research, Bobby locates Miles and informs Leo and his department right away. A large police team is deployed in pursuit of Miles, who escapes on his bike. Miles, along with all the police officers who are robots, arrives at a location where a group of people who hate surrogates and want to shut them down has gathered. Military helicopters also join in to apprehend Miles, but he keeps evading capture on his bike. Eventually, his bike goes out of control, and he crashes. All the police officers surround Miles, but he quickly pulls out a large gun from his pocket and starts delivering electric shocks. The police officers' surrogates begin to be destroyed one by one as they cannot withstand the electrical shocks, causing their internal systems to fail. Miles also starts attacking Leo's surrogate in the military helicopter, seriously injuring the pilot and causing the helicopter to begin to fall. Miles continues to flee for his life, and moments later, the military helicopter crash lands at that location. In this incident, Leo's robot was severely damaged, losing one of its arms completely. However, he did not stop pursuing Miles. The entire group of people who hated surrogates now focused on destroying Leo's robot upon seeing it. Even though Leo was gravely injured, he continued using his robot, feeling no pain at all. After a while, Leo's robot confronted Miles and demanded that he surrender his weapon. Just as Miles handed over his weapon, Leo was shot from behind by none other than the members of the group who wanted to completely eliminate the surrogate system. Leo was seriously wounded and quickly surrounded. Due to the intense attack, Leo's surrogate was damaged, causing him to awaken in his real body. Somehow, Leo was also severely injured, with blood pouring from his mouth. In desperation, he began to head to his wife's room for help but collapsed on the way. Maggie's robot quickly caught him and took him to the hospital. At the hospital, the group's leader, named Peter, had captured Miles. They had found an electricity-generating device with Miles, which prompted Peter to interrogate him about who had given it to him. Trembling with fear, Miles explained that a random person would call him and inform him of the job, and they received money for using the device. Miles knew that Peter and his associates would not let him go anywhere. Andrew arrived at the hospital to check on Leo and informed him that he had been fired from his job. This meant that Leo was now just an ordinary human like the rest of the citizens. He was troubled by the thought of how the injury sustained by his robot could affect his own body. Clearly, there was something wrong with the entire surrogate technology. Leo then set out to create a new robot for himself, but he struggled to understand the techniques for modern robots, and they weren't working properly. For the time being, as he was in his real form, Leo went to confront the group of people who had killed the surrogates and who hated them intensely. There, he saw his own robot, which had been tied up and hung on a cross. Meanwhile, it was discovered that the group had killed Miles, considering him a criminal, and today was his funeral. Everyone gathered to pay their respects to Miles. The group's leader had a way of controlling everyone's minds and stated that everyone who comes into this world must eventually leave it. Therefore, it was essential to eliminate all these robots since they never die. After the ceremony concluded, Leo went directly to speak with Peter. However, when Peter and his men realized that Leo was the owner of the robot causing chaos in their territory, they all started to attack Leo relentlessly. Leo found himself unable to defend himself. After a while, Peter told Leo that they were all human and needed to feel pain and all experiences themselves. As he was leaving, Leo asked Peter what the weapon was that Miles possessed, but Peter did not respond. At that moment, another surrogate picked Leo up, and it was none other than Lionel's. Lionel frequently changed his surrogates. He informed Leo that if he wanted to find out who was behind all these murders, he needed to locate the weapon that Miles had and discover who created it. Lionel also shared that Peter and his associates could not have created the weapon because they lacked the necessary resources. Leo then went straight home, where his wife Maggie's surrogate was having a party with her friends. Leo was very troubled, so he told Maggie's robot that he needed to speak with the real Maggie. Due to the lack of response, Leo began to attack all of Maggie's friends. He fell into deep depression. Shortly afterward, Maggie's robot approached her real body, deactivating the robot after months and finally getting up from the chair. Maggie was in significant pain. Leo refused to give up easily and went into his laboratory to search for information about the weapon. He discovered through his system that the weapon had been created by the same technical company that manufactured robots. And in all of this, the military was supporting them. We then see an unknown man breaking into Stephanie's house to collect information, ultimately killing the real Stephanie. This man had given control of Stephanie's body to another person, who would now work for them as a police officer. Meanwhile, Leo was talking to his wife Maggie's surrogate, who stated that if she didn't speak to him directly, they would have to end their relationship. However, Maggie, who was still in the robot, only said that she was shattered after their son's death and that the surrogate technology kept her away from reality. Leo then went to talk to the colonel, questioning why the military was supporting the creation of this dangerous weapon. The colonel was surprised to hear this because he had no idea about it. There must be some people in their military camp supporting the wrong individuals. Therefore, the colonel decided to launch a major investigation into the matter. On the other hand, military forces attacked everyone in Peter's vicinity, as they needed the dangerous weapon at any cost. Peter instructed his men to send the weapon to Leo. The military forces surrounded Peter and his men, continuously firing at them. However, it was later revealed that Peter was a robot. The most shocking part was that Peter was being controlled by Lionel. Shortly thereafter, Stephanie's robot approached Peter, but it was no longer the real Stephanie controlling it, someone else was. However, Leo was unaware of these developments. Stephanie then approached Leo to inform him that Andrew had hired Miles to eliminate Lionel, suggesting that Andrew might be behind all these events. Consequently, Leo went to the department to discuss these matters with Andrew. However, Andrew did not provide Leo with any direct answers. Thus, Leo cleverly removed Andrew's chip, causing him to stop in place. Now, he transferred all the data present in the department to a pen drive, which contained all the details of the case. Leo was now in the car with Stephanie, heading to a safe place, unaware that this was not really Stephanie but someone else. Stephanie made a call and crashed their car into another vehicle, causing a dangerous accident. Taking advantage of Leo's serious injuries, Stephanie prepared to escape with the dangerous weapon. When Leo regained consciousness, he immediately tried to drive away after her. The robot, controlled by another person, was leaping away with the weapon. Leo attempted to destroy Stephanie with his car, but he crashed into something else instead, and Stephanie managed to escape unscathed with the weapon. All the agents arrived there to capture Leo, but he successfully escaped. He called his friend Bobby, who advised him to deactivate Stephanie's robot, but it was probably too late. Bobby was at the Technical Institute where he controlled all the robots when Stephanie showed up and held a gun to his head. This meant that Stephanie had the ability to control all the robots in the city. Andrew also revealed that it was Lionel who was controlling Stephanie. Lionel, controlling Stephanie's body, declared that robots were destroying humans and that humans should live their own lives. He wanted to completely eliminate the surrogate network. Leo quickly picked up the advanced gun, charged it, and fired at Andrew, completely destroying him. Now, Lionel, who was controlling Stephanie, inserted a virus into the network that would wipe out the entire surrogate system. Leo, injured, somehow made it to Lionel's house, where he eliminated all the guards. Upon entering the house, Lionel saw a bunker, and when he went inside, he discovered many surrogate robot bodies, including that of the killer and Peter. This meant that Peter had also been controlled by Lionel from the start. Lionel then aimed a gun at Leo, and they began to say that now, due to the virus, everything would be fine. This robotic system should be completely eliminated so that humans can live their lives well. They believed that humans had already become half dead by using robots. For humans to live freely, it was essential to eliminate the robots. Then Lionel started controlling Stephanie and began to include the virus. He had even killed himself using a harmful chemical. Leo didn't understand what to do to save this system, but then he started controlling Stephanie, who freed Bobby. He began asking Bobby how to stop the virus from spreading. Bobby was continuously trying different hacking techniques, claiming he could stop the virus from progressing, which would prevent any destruction of the surrogate network. Suddenly, a soldier came from behind and attacked Stephanie. She was completely destroyed, meaning Leo could no longer control her robot, causing the virus to spread everywhere. The surrogates and robots of the people outside began to deactivate. When Leo stepped outside, he found all the robots lying on the ground. The real humans inside the houses began to come out, having been inside for months. Leo was finally meeting his real wife after many years, and he was very happy. He decided to live a normal life with his wife, and our story ends this way.